Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the Starkside. While you're here, please support the channel by hitting the like button, and if you're new here, hit that subscribe as well as the notification bell. Today we'll be talking about the Marvel Legends Retro Wave Symbiote Spider-Man. And here we have the Symbiote Spider-Man in this cool card packaging for the Retro Wave. So at the front here we get this cool logo of the Spider-Man the animated series back in the 90s. And at this side we get the nice artwork of Symbiote Spider-Man. And at the back we get a brief bio of the character. If you want to read it, you can pause the video. And here we have the other figures from the wave. Alright, let's get the Symbiote Spider-Man out of the packaging.
Where am I? What is this? Wow. This is something else.
And here we have the Symbiote Spider-Man. So this costume just looks really awesome. Spider-Man's symbiote suit is one of the greatest costumes that the web slinger has ever worn. So enough about that. Before we talk about the figure itself, let's go over the accessories. So this Spider-Man figure comes with 3 pairs of interchangeable hands. So we have 1 pair of fisted hands, 1 pair of flipping hands, and finally 1 pair of wall crawling hands. So I'm really happy Hasbro gave us a lot of hands for this figure. These fisted hands look great. It's just the same with the retro classic Spider-Man figure. The difference is in the paint apps. So these hands here are painted black with some white here at the back for the symbiote suit sign. And I think the black paint apps here look really solid. Really nice. The white, however, looks like the faded prints you see on overused superhero t-shirts. It doesn't really bother me that much since you actually only see it if you look really close. But yeah, so there's a bit of white paint here, but I think that can be easily resolved with some retouching. The same goes for the flipping hands, so just the same with the retro classic figure. And again, the black paint apps look really solid. The white looks like it's a bit faded, like I said, but it's not enough to bother me, you know. And finally, we have the wall crawling hands. And I just want to say the paint apps and the sculpt themselves aren't the big thing to be happy about here. I mean, the black looks good again and the white could have been cleaner, but for me, the big thing here is that we have them with this figure. Having these particular hands gives us a lot of display and toy photography options with Spider-Man here. So I do wish Hasbro will give us wall crawling hands for every Spider-Man figure that they release in the future. And yep, like I said, that looks really good. Moving on, so the packaging here looks like it's based on the 90s animated Spider-Man series, and being a mostly black with some bits of white kind of costume, the figure doesn't really look that far from how it looked in the series, so I'm good with that. And I'm also really glad that they chose to use black instead of mixing in some blue like what they did with the retro Venom figure. So yeah, I think they made the right choice. So just a brief bio on this specific suit. This costume came into existence after Spider-Man's suit gets damaged in the original Secret Wars. So he finds this symbiote and releases it, and it latches onto him, creating this black and white costume. And Peter later tries to remove this suit after he discovers that it's trying to permanently bond with him. He succeeds in doing so using church bells, like what happened in the movie Spider-Man 3. Anyway, starting with the head sculpt, I'm loving how clean and solid this head sculpt looks. At first, I thought it's the same head sculpt as the retro classic Spidey, but it's actually not. The difference in the sculpt is in the lenses. So this new one here has curved lenses and is sculpted more inwards than outwards, like in a Spidey figure here, if you know what I mean. Wow, this looks really good. The rest of the figure looks amazing. This is just the same sculpt as the retro classic Spider-Man figure. And it's true what they say, black makes you look more slimming. Wow, the paint apps look very clean so far. And I like how they went with this particular design for the white spider logo. which I think is also painted really nice. Unlike the whites in the hands, this one here on the body looks really clean. I heard from other collectors though that the white paint here tends to fade or get scraped easily, which is why I'm trying my best not to touch it that much. And the back of the figure looks great as well. Nice clean white paint apps there. And the arms look good as well. Wow, I actually can't stress it enough how I love the black here. And the legs look good as well, no complaints there. And I'm glad they didn't use blue for the soles of his feet here, like what we see in the art on the packaging. Overall, I love the look and sculpt of this figure, and I really don't have any major problems with it. Now let's go over the articulation of this figure. So this is just the same sculpt as the classic Spider-Man, so the articulation is just the same. And I'll try my best to avoid touching the white parts too much, so Spider-Man can look up that far, that looks great, and he can look down all the way as well. His head does rotate. We get a nice neck pivot there, that looks awesome. We get butterfly joints that allow him to move his shoulders forward and backward. That's nice. His arms bend upward that far, at the 90-degree mark. That looks great. And he can bend them down all the way as well. His shoulders do rotate 360. He's got a bicep swivel. Double jointed elbows. His wrists rotate and move up and down, so we have the same articulation for all his alternate hands. He's got a diaphragm pivot that allows him to move sideways, bend forward, backwards, and side to side. We also get an ab crunch that allows him to bend forward even more and backwards quite a lot. This combination of the diaphragm pivot and the ab crunch really makes these new Spider-Man figures the best. His legs can kick forward that far and not so much backwards. His hips move outward very far, so I do like that a lot. He has an upper thigh cut, double jointed knees, calf rotation. His ankles move up and down, and he has ankle pivot as well. Now for some figure comparisons, here's the retro Symbiote Spider-Man next to the retro classic suit Spider-Man. And seeing these two side by side really makes me happy. I'm really excited to take some photos of, Spider-Man looking at his reflection and seeing this symbiote suit instead. So that's my review of the Marvel Legends retro symbiote suit Spider-Man. I really don't have any complaints with this figure. I think everything about this figure is amazing. Accessories, sculpt, pin-ups, articulation, everything. I love this figure. And if you're wondering where I got this figure, so it took me quite a while to get a hold of this figure here in the Philippines, so big thanks to K Viper Collectibles for having this figure in hand. If you want to check that out, there's a link in the description below. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think of this figure. Let me know what you think of my review. Please leave a comment below. And if you like this video, hit that like button. And if you still haven't, hit that subscribe, as well as the notification bell. You can also follow me on social media. Links in the description below. And I'll see you guys in the next video.